Today we'll learn how to write a constructor and destructor in a class. So time class that we created last time, आज हम इसका constructor देखेंगे. Constructor वही काम करेगा जो initialize का method कर रहा था, लेकिन initialize का method को चूँकि call करना पड़ता है, so that's not so better idea is to write a constructor. Constructor is a function that has the same name as the class name and it has no return type. We cannot write even void with the return type as a return type of the constructor. So you can see that this error is because of void. So we removed it and now the error is gone. And in the main where we were calling initialize, now we comment that line and we also only want to see the show clock to make sure that constructor has initialized the data members properly. So you can see that here 0 0 is initialized because of the constructor. Okay, so you can see that we are not passing any parameter at the time of creation, so we are not actually initializing it with any value from main. It is initialized from with the default value, so which is also this is also called a default constructor. And if you want to pass some initial values from main, then we need to write a constructor that can receive this value. So for example, we want to pass 1, 2 and 3. So there are 3 parameters of this constructor. So we need to modify the constructor so that it can accept this type of construction. So here in the class, we are adding the parameters for the constructor. So let's say if it is ABC, so we simply assign the values of ABC as provided by the driver function, which is using this class. So let's execute. So now we can see that 1, 2, 3 has been initialized. And now we can see we want to create an object without parameters. Now you can see that there is an error. So this error informs us that we do not have a constructor to create this object. In fact, when we had not written any constructor for the class, C++ had provided a default constructor by itself, which could be used to create objects without any initialization parameters. But if we have provided a constructor, जब हमने खुद से एक constructor लिख दिया है और which tells C++ that we know how to write a constructor and what is the purpose of constructor, then it will not provide the facility of default constructor. So if we want still to create object without parameters, then we'll have to write default constructor as well. In fact, now C++ understands that we know what is the purpose of constructor and we want construction only with 3 parameters. And that's why it is not providing the facility of construction without parameters. So however, we can uh, copy the same constructor and create a default constructor that receives no parameters, and now it will work for simple constructions as well. Okay, now we reduce main as well to only show that what are the values of t and u. So you can see that in the default construction 000, and in the parameters construction it has 1 2 3, the values of data members. And we can achieve the same by providing the default arguments for the parameters of constructor. And no, we don't need a separate constructor. If probably we want the same functionality, we can use the default arguments instead of defining a new constructor. So it works well. And it also works for one parameter or two parameter and up to three parameters. So by giving the default arguments, we have utilized the same constructor for 4 different types of constructions. So in this case, if we pass only one argument, that will go to the hours or the first data member or the first parameter only. Remaining will remain 0.